Imagine this. You're offered what every golfer dreams of: a golden ticket to the PGA Tour. The chance to tee it up alongside the very best in the world, to walk those hallowed fairways where legends have been made. Now imagine saying no, not because you're scared, not because you're unprepared, but because you were told to abandon the very thing that made you who you are. That's the exact situation Grant Horvat faced, one of golf's fastest rising digital stars who shocked the sport by turning down an invitation to the PGA Tour's Barracuda Championship. It wasn't just a personal choice, it was a moment that revealed a much bigger conflict: the PGA's old guard versus a new wave of creators who don't play by the same rules. This is the story of how a 26-year-old YouTuber became one of the most talked about figures in golf, why he said no to the PGA, and why to the establishment he represents something far bigger, a threat to their entire system. Grant Horvat wasn't born into fame. There were no TV cameras, no sponsorship deals waiting for him. In fact, for most of his childhood, golf wasn't even on his radar. Growing up in Michigan, his world revolved around football. He loved the energy, the physicality, the speed of the game. Golf? That was his dad's thing. To him, golf seemed slow, even boring. But in the background, golf was always there. His father, Steve Horvat, was a PGA professional. Clubs, lessons, teaching materials, the tools of the trade were always within reach. And then, at 13 years old, curiosity sparked. Grant asked his dad if he could give golf a try. From that moment, everything changed. Steve became his coach and mentor. Together, they built a foundation: grip, stance, posture. Grant wasn't just taught to swing a club, he was taught discipline, patience, and precision. When the family later moved to Florida, golf became central to Grant's life. He enrolled at Palm Beach Atlantic University and played 4 years of college golf. But here's the twist. Even then, turning pro wasn't his plan. He was talented, yes, but he didn't see himself chasing tour cards and grinding through Monday qualifiers. That perspective shifted when a new friendship opened a door he never could have predicted. Enter Garrett Clark, creator of GM Golf, a YouTube channel on the rise. Unlike traditional golf coverage, GM Golf wasn't about stiff commentary, highlight reels, or endless leaderboard talk. It was about fun, relatability, creativity. When Grant met Garrett, it wasn't about business, it was about connection. But before long, he was part of the GM Golf crew. This group wasn't chasing trophies or rankings. They were chasing experiences, documenting every moment, and inviting fans along for the ride. Trick shots, on-course challenges, playful rivalries. It was golf, but with energy and personality. And Grant fit right in. His silky smooth swing, polished look, and calm demeanor made him stand out on camera. He wasn't just another golfer. He was a character that audiences connected with. This was the beginning of something bigger, the rise of Good. Soon after, Grant became a founding part of Good Golf. What started as a group of friends filming content exploded into a full-fledged golf media empire. Their videos were a mix of matches, collaborations, and travel vlogs. They weren't just playing golf. They were creating entertainment. Millions of views poured in. They sold merchandise that fans wore proudly on and off the course. They hosted events where fans traveled hundreds of miles just to meet them. At a time when the PGA Tour struggled to capture casual fans, Good was thriving. They made golf fun. They made it approachable. And they made it cool. Grant's role? Vital. He brought balance, skill, charisma, and relatability. His swing was the kind of thing that could stop viewers mid-scroll. But then, in late 2022, everything changed. When Grant announced he was leaving Good, it shocked the golf internet. To fans, it was like a band breaking up at their peak. Speculation flew. Was it about money? Creative differences? Egos clashing? The internet debated endlessly. But Grant explained his reasoning in a heartfelt video. It was the hardest decision of his life. But he wanted creative freedom. He wanted flexibility. And most importantly, he wanted to return to Florida to spend more time with his dad. In other words, he wanted to build something on his own terms. And that's exactly what he did. Grant launched his personal YouTube channel, and it exploded. Within months, his videos were pulling in millions of views. Brands wanted to collaborate. Fans didn't just watch him play golf, they invested in him. Why? Because his content was raw, authentic, and personal. Course vlogs, swing tutorials, practice sessions with his dad. He wasn't just showing golf, he was showing life. By 2025, Grant had more than 1.4 million subscribers, with each upload averaging millions of views. In terms of audience, he was bigger than most professional golfers on tour. And that's when the PGA Tour came calling. In early 2025, Grant received a sponsor's exemption for the Barracuda Championship. For most golfers, this would be a dream come true, the chance to compete against the very best. But there was a catch. The PGA's strict media policy banned outside cameras during tournament play. Only official PGA media teams could film. For Grant, that was non-negotiable. No cameras meant no vlogs. No vlogs meant no connection with his audience. So he declined. Later, he released a video titled, "Why I'm Not Playing a PGA Tour Event." In it, he explained that without cameras, the experience wouldn't feel authentic. The response was massive. Fans applauded his decision. One comment summed it up perfectly. The PGA invited him because of his YouTube fame, but wouldn't let him use YouTube to share it. What should have been a celebration turned into an exposure of golf's deepest tension. The PGA wants relevance, but not at the cost of control. Here's why Grant matters. For decades, the PGA Tour has owned the spotlight. They controlled who got it, how long, and under what terms. But Grant doesn't need them. He owns his platform, he owns his audience. And more people watch him online than many PGA Tour players get on TV. That's why he's a threat. If other golfers follow his path, building their own brands, connecting directly with fans, the PGA loses its monopoly on the sports story. This isn't just a golf issue, it's part of a much larger trend across sports. Look at the NBA. Stars like LeBron James or Steph Curry control their own platforms, sometimes reaching more people through social media than through ESPN highlights. Look at combat sports. Jake Paul built a boxing career off YouTube, bypassing the traditional system entirely. The PGA has never faced this before. Players who don't need their approval to become global stars. Grant is proof that in 2025, connection beats tradition. To be fair, the PGA Tour is trying to adapt. They backed Netflix's Full Swing. They boosted their social media presence. They even relaxed dress codes to inject more personality. But at the end of the day, they still want what they've always wanted: control. They want new stars, but not ones who are too independent. They want innovation, but only on their terms. Grant declining their invitation shined a spotlight on that contradiction. So here's the real question. What matters more in modern golf? Old school prestige or new age connection? The PGA offers history, tradition, and legacy. But creators like Grant offer authenticity, access, and relatability. And for younger fans, that connection often outweighs trophies. That's what scares the PGA the most. Grant Horvat may never win the Masters. He may never hoist the claret jug. But in some ways, he's already accomplished something just as powerful. He's built a loyal audience that doesn't care whether he has tour status. They care about him, about how he makes them feel connected to golf. And that's something the PGA can't control. Grant isn't the last of his kind. He's one of the first. Already, new creators are following his blueprint, mixing competition with content, blending tradition with personality, and proving you can build a career without the PGA's blessing. That's why the PGA sees him as a threat. Not because he's knocking on their door, but because he's showing the world you don't need it. So this isn't just the story of one YouTuber turning down a PGA invite. It's the story of a generational shift in golf. And the question remains, will the PGA adapt, or will creators like Grant redefine the game entirely? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think the PGA should embrace creators like Grant or keep protecting tradition? Your thoughts could spark the next big debate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.